What's going on, YouTube world? Mark here with Bart and our MT-03. We're in the garage today as usual, and today we are actually going to do a little bit of debriefing on our track date that we experienced.
Yep.
So Bart and I went out to Bushnell. If you guys watched the last episode and our previous track day episode, we went out to Bushnell. We've done a lot to this bike since that first track day, mainly in terms of suspension, ergonomics, braking. We've done quite a bit. So this is a completely different bike. We wanted to take it to the same track under almost the same conditions to give it a real good test and find a nice baseline for what we already knew and what we wanted to grow on. And it was pretty fun. It was definitely a learning experience.
Yep.
There were quite a few things. So we'll start off. Tell us how the day kind of started, what we went through when we first got to the track and so on.
I trailered the bike over, I unloaded. Didn't do much of prep, really, you know. I set the pressures. I knew the sag was in where I like it to be as a baseline.
When you say sag, that's for the rear shock?
Both front and rear.
Okay.
You know, I don't really trust sag values as an absolute.
Yeah.
What I do is try to set somewhere around, you know, 2/3 compression travel, 1/3 rebound travel.
Okay.
That gives me a good baseline, and then I go by feel from there.
Gotcha.
I know a lot of guys do that, but then there's a lot of guys that set sag, and that's like their absolute sag. Anytime you alter your spring settings from that, you're changing it, and you're catering to what the conditions are and how you want to ride the bike. Anyway, this is a starting point. We don't know what this bike wants yet.
Yeah.
So I wasn't gonna get all like scientific about getting exactly 1/3, 2/3. It was just a safe point for me to start. I took the clicker settings from one of our R3s. I wanted the damping settings to be similar to that. Obviously, this is poised a little bit more upright. It's gonna want something different. A very tight track like Bushnell is gonna need something different. The pavement there is really, really nice. It's not very rough. There's a couple spots that you need to address, but it's very, I want to say it's a pretty easy track to set to.
Yeah.
So I didn't go too crazy on the setup.
Yeah. The morning was really just taking notes, taking mental notes, going back after a session and session and session. And
yeah, we both
and
got out
reacted.
there
Yeah.
and we tried it out.
Yeah.
Picked
Turned
up the
laps.
pace a little
Yep.
bit, you know, get comfortable, warm up the tires and everything. And then I really started, after a while, you know, I got comfortable with what was going on, and I started playing with different settings. I've established myself a little online thing where I have access to it all the time from any device, where I keep notes on the setup of this bike. So I started going through all the changes and keeping notes on that. At some point when we get to a level where I'm really trying to pound the settings on this and like figure out what it needs for different conditions.
Yeah.
I'm gonna set up a matrix and test them all at different tracks, but right now we haven't gotten there yet. It's not really a full package yet, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm just trying to see the trends of what this bike likes with me riding it.
Yeah.
Obviously for you that's gonna be different. For anybody out there, that would be different. I get the question a lot. What settings should I use on my damping adjusters and my preload and all that?
go ride and find out.
It's all different. It depends on where you're riding, how you're riding, what you're trying to accomplish. Yeah. There's no absolutes in any of this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all, and it changes, you know, if you're riding a different track, if you went with a different fork oil, or if you went with a completely different suspension setup. There's so many factors to this that play into what you should do. I mean, it's like, hey, how should I tune my bike? I have an eBay exhaust and I cut my own air filter open. Like, I don't know, take it to a dyno shop. Like, take it to someone reputable who can do it for you. So
Get some help.
yeah, it was definitely a learning experience throughout the day. We did get the day warmed up. There was rain on the forecast, and we were trying to beat the rain. So as the day went on, we started heating up. The track started heating up. The tires got up to 10, and then something happened.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually working with geometry at the time. Again, not going too crazy, but I noticed that the bike was just diving into corners really easy and very, very unstable. Now we have a very short wheelbase.
Yep.
That's part of the problem. We were also, you know, up on the shock a lot.
Yeah.
We were at, I think, 289 eye to eye length. So, again, I was testing it. I thought it was safe. I got to the place where I started picking up the pace, and I was feeling the bike walk out of corners and slide here and there. And I was all fine with that because it was within the realm of what the tires are able to feed back to me. And I was feeling safe until I got to a point where I think I rode beyond the means of these tires holding me.
Yeah.
It could have been partially set up too, because I was set up very poised forward, which is less of a stable condition driving out of corners. I was mid-corner in one of the tightest spots where there's like a double apex, and I get in pretty far in the lean, and I'm on my knee, and I start picking it up to drive out and then back into the next apex, and I feel the bike nudge.
Yep.
And typically, you know, with race rubber that is at temperature, proper pressures and everything, and I'm used to it, that's like, okay, now we're doing this.
Yeah.
But this bike nudged, stopped sliding, and then just the front tire just gave out. So I went down, and you guys see some of the result here. I landed on some of our crash protection components. They actually saved a lot of the bike. We sustained no damage to any of these components.
none of the
The
fairings,
bars didn't
nothing.
even touch. I basically slid on this peg, a little bit on the rear spool, and a lot on this Delrin component.
And actually, the fork slider did a
Oh
hell
yeah,
of
the
a
fork
job,
slider,
too.
yeah.
So the bike was relatively undamaged. I think the ego took more of a hit than anything.
Not really.
Yeah, I guess
I've been
you're
down
used to
so
it, right?
many times, it doesn't matter.
So then we picked it back up. We kept making a little tweaks here and there. We are still on the stock tires, so please keep that in mind. We haven't changed out the tires. I know a lot of you viewers out there are asking, what's the biggest tire you can put on this? Or what different tires? Eventually we will change out the tires, but for now we're just on stock tires. We're trying to do as much testing as we can with what we already have. So as the day went on, I started turning a few laps, and then the rain came. Now for me, although I ride in the rain all the time on the street, riding on the track in the rain is just a kind of different world for me. It's not something I'm super comfortable with. So
I'm
the
really
rain comes-
familiar with it in race setting
Yeah.
on race rubber.
Yeah.
Rain tires, you come off pace maybe 5, 7, 10%,
Yeah.
depending on, you know, conditions. But like rain tires for racing, they inspire
awesome.
confidence.
Yeah.
And I haven't ridden street rubber in the rain at a track in God knows how long.
Yeah.
You know? So I was like, all right, let's
Yeah,
see what happens.
I hopped off the bike. I had enough. I didn't want to be the guy to let the bike down again. So I got off. Bar hopped on. He's like, oh, I'll take it easy. I'm going to have some fun. We'll see how this feels in the rain. Because like he just mentioned, this is the first time he's ridden on the track, on street tires, in the rain. So it's just a huge learning experience.
in a really long time.
Yeah. And our videographer Mark and myself were setting up shots. We're trying to get to that corner where Bart is really pushing. And next thing you know, we just hear
Damn it.
see some sparks. He stands up, gives us a thumbs up, and we figured everything was all right. So
I picked the bike up and
yeah,
rode it in.
You rode it in. We're back. It went down on the same side and sustained almost the same exact damage. Now, we do have to do some replacing, and I will do a follow-up episode showing the crash protection in full and showing what happened, what protected it, needs, because as I did mention previously, we use all of our products. We retail them, but we also use them. We believe in them. We crash test them from time to time.
I've crash tested the R1 at excess of 130 miles an hour at Dogleg in Daytona.
Yep. So it's something, we're not just salespeople. We are people we're riders. We believe in our products. We will sell them to you with confidence. If
Doesn't
anything
matter
goes
what we
awry-
think. Look, this
Yeah.
is a testament to
Yeah,
it
this
working.
is like this is true.
Got a little bit of
evidence.
rash here,
Yep.
but without this component, this case would be toast.
Yeah,
There
we'd
would
be
be
leaking
debris
oil
inside.
everywhere.
Yeah.
So overall, it was a really awesome day. We got a really good feel for the suspension. I think we're both excited to take it to a bigger track.
No, I got to put 2 more notches on my crash belt.
Yeah, on the brand new suit. But this was a huge learning experience for us, and
Yeah, I got to play with geometry a little bit.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, we changed around the foot pegs.
I didn't move the fork. Geometry of the whole bike.
Yeah.
I did play with the shock length.
Yep.
And I found a better place.
You also adjusted the handlebars. You moved them forward.
I did. That's not enough. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to figure out something ergonomics wide for that. I'm gonna need different bars. I'd like them lower and forward more.
Leave your recommendations for us. We're not too familiar with different bars for these Street Fighter style bikes. We do know that Pro Tapered has a ton of offerings out there. If you guys have comments or suggestions on what bars you like, leave them down below because we are pretty curious. Obviously, we don't want to buy 1,000 bars, swap them out, and have to return 999 of them.
Also, like those riser things.
Yeah.
If anybody knows of a set that moves everything forward a little bit,
I'd
like to hear about that.
Yeah, that would do a lot
I haven't
for us.
looked yet. Probably decently easy to find, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, so leave your comments below, leave your suggestions below. Let us know because we do want to change a few more things. Now, this does get into braking a little bit. We did find that we wanted to change all the brake pads. We didn't do it yet because obviously we went down twice. It was raining. We just called it a day, got some lunch, and headed back to the office. But braking is something we want to do. We did take our Vestra RJL pads with us to the track. We didn't get to swap them out because, like I said, we went down and it was raining, so we just, bypassed that. But that is something we are going to get into. I think when we do an oil change, because we still haven't done our first oil change, so I think when we do that, I think when I do that video, I may just go ahead and throw in how to change out your brake pads because it's something that can be done in 5 minutes with the right tools and patience. So why not?
It's like
right?
a 5-minute swap.
Yeah.
And the RJL brake pads from Vesra, they're really nice compound, nice high-end compound, but not like the really, really race-oriented ones. The ZZ pads, we actually have the ZZ pads for this bike, I think. I actually don't like them. They grip a little bit too much for what this bike needs. If you're using that much brake, you're probably not carrying enough corner speed as a result. So the RJLs are really nice. I'd like to test them.
Yeah.
I'd like to put them on. So yeah, go ahead and we'll go and test them and let our guys know.
Yeah, we'll film the full installation process for the front brake pads. We'll do an oil change as well, show you guys that on video because I'm sure a lot of you guys and gals out there, first time bike owners or just have this bike and you haven't done an oil change, you want to see how that goes. So we're going to show you a little bit of a directional video. Obviously, reference your owner's manual and your shop manual if you've never done this before for certain specifics on torque specs and things like that. But we do want to show that stuff because we're figuring out this bike along with you all, and we're having some fun with it. I do want to just give, again, a huge shout out to Womet-Tech. Yeah, I mean, we crash test their products all the time, and it's something that...
Not on purpose.
Yeah, it's not on purpose. I will say that
I'd love to have that job, though. I'd get a crash dummy suit and just go be Crash Bandicoot.
Well, I will say that after the first crash, it was kind of like, if we go down again, whatever. We already knew that we were going to have to replace some of the crash components and the footrests. So we may or may not have been riding on that line to see what happens. And we found out very quickly what would happen. So I do want to just give a huge shout out to Womet-Tech. They're a great company. They're a partner company based out of Poland. We work together a lot for countless products. And yeah, the proof is in the pudding. Engine's safe, fairings are safe. It's kind of shocking.
This is pretty cheap repair for two crashes.
Yeah, 2 crashes and a
This
day
is not
full of
worn
riding.
through, so I'm just gonna refinish it and spray it down and
maybe we
give it
can,
a couple extra hits.
Yeah, maybe we could talk them into trying to design a case cover for this bike.
Well, I could.
Now we know the need, so
I could design that pretty quickly. It's just a matter of having demand.
Yeah.
These things get pretty pricey, and I know this case cover, the OEM case cover, is not very expensive. Some guys decide, hey, I'd rather replace this.
Yeah.
Now it gets cumbersome. You have to get in there. You have to have a gasket. You have to make sure oil doesn't leak out. It's a lot of work. In a race settings, you don't want to do that. You want a consumable product on the outside that'll get scraped up, scraped away. You replace that when you get back. You have a couple of hits you could get on it, and then you just replace it whenever. If you guys like that kind of a component and you want to whip out your wallet, let us know. We will make it happen.
But for now, we're actually next up. I am going to get into a crash protection just synopsis of what happened. We are going to showcase these products a little bit more in depth and just be brutally honest on the damage sustained because that's what we do. We will be doing our works pack stuff,
Now you're talking about different episodes, future episodes.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Okay.
so the next immediate episode is going to be a mini episode on the crash protection.
I thought you were about to unleash me on installing Works Pack right now.
No.
I'm like, when do I get to do it?
No, I know you're itching. We are going to be getting into the Works Pack. That will be the next full episode we film, and then after that,
Are we gonna do a full gearing episode?
we will be changing out the gearing and the wheelbase. We also have to take it back to the dyno after we do the Works Pack.
Yeah.
And that's really going to be an interesting video because it is just a bolt-on package that just boosts the hell out of the performance of this bike.
Yeah, I'm not looking to tune this bike to the package. I wanna see what happens. We captured our baselines in the original dyno video.
Yeah.
I want to just throw it on
Yeah.
and measure it. That's what I want to do.
Just throw it on and show the viewers, like, hey, when you buy this package from us, if you choose to do so, it really is a bolt-on performance pack. So we will get into that. There's a ton of stuff we still have planned. We just wanted to do a track day debriefing because we did have a lot of fun, despite the crashes. We do believe that we got a lot of valuable information in this. But for now, we're going to call it a day. This is Mark, Bart. We'll catch you guys next time.